Welcome to Talk of the Town. This is an official podcast from the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside to expand upon community topics shared through the Talk of the Town newsletter. Here we will give you more detail, respond to questions, and deliver information about community news and happenings. Hey, it's Rob Hefner for the Talk of the Town, and this is a follow-up to what I told you this morning. We had posted the recap of the town council meeting from last week, and we're going to go in depth on one of the items. I've got with me Mayor Irwin.
Hey, Rob.
And council member
Heisler.
I want to make sure you say his name right. So I was going to say his first name, but that's not proper here. So we're going to talk over D.8. Now, D.8 as written in here, I'm going to read it verbatim. Consider options regarding referendum number 2022-01. Consider resolution number 23-1561, authorizing a call of election for the town of Pinetop-Lakeside to be held on May 16th, 2023. Or your second option was consider resolution number 23-156, repealing resolution number 22-1634, major amendment of the land use elements of the 2015 general plan. You, as a council, there was a motion to go with option one that was seconded and then passed. So, Mayor Irwin, give us a little background as how we get to this point. What exactly happened?
Over the past several years, we've had some requests for rezoning of particular properties in our town limits, and it became apparent that our land use map was deficient in some areas. Our town attorney, as well as our community development director, notified us that we had some land improperly designated as open space. So this brought up the conversation and quite a long process on updating that land use map. Over a period of probably, I would say at least 9 months, there were 9 hearings held, 9 public meetings, either through the Planning and Zoning Commission or the Town Council, to consider these amendments to that land use map. At the second to the last meeting, when the Town Council was ready to vote on that, we had a very small number of citizens who protested some of the designations that we had on there. So we decided, in the interest of getting more information out to the public and more input from the public, that we would delay that vote. We held a work session on October 6th, and there were quite a number of people who said they represented the town who had issues with some of the designations on that map. Later on that evening at our regular council meeting, we did pass the amendments, and this has to be passed by a supermajority. It's part of the general plan, which will be voted on coming up by the year 2025. We're going to start working on it later this year. So the citizens will have another opportunity to vote on that. It was really discouraging to us because while we had spent hours researching, going to meetings, and studying the issue, these citizens came in literally at the 11th hour and stymied us.
So I want to mention that during that meeting, the meeting after you had a study session, and then you had an actual town council meeting. During that town council meeting, an individual stand up and stated that he represented the people. I wanted to find sort of what representation of the people looks like, because just going to one meeting with a half a dozen to 20 to 30 people, even to 100 or 200 people, doesn't designate you as a representative of the people. We've got a process that both of you went through. First started with gaining signatures to get yourself on the ballot, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. And what did you do to do that?
Basically went out, for myself, I went out door to door, knocked on folks' doors, told them the position that I was going to be running for. And then for some of those people, it was as simple as, yeah, I'll sign the ballot or I'll sign the petition. And for other people, they wanted to know my positions on issues. They wanted to talk to me to think about things that were important to them.
Okay. And you get almost 100 signatures doing that, correct?
Just about. I think it depends on the number of voters in the previous election.
Okay. So you do that. That doesn't make you a representative of the people. That gets you on the ballot, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes.
So then you have to run and you have to get voted in. Do you remember how many people voted you in as mayor by chance? Is it a round number?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Do you remember as many?
I wanted to say 400 and
400. It's almost 500. I think it was 600 in your case.
I think 600 kind of rings a bell. Yes.
Yeah. It's usually a little less for a council member because they don't have to garner all the votes. And then usually with the mayor, it comes a higher number. So 400 to 600 people. Okay. Then you represent the people. After you're sworn in and you have to stand up in front of a judge, put your hand in the air, swear in a Bible, that you're going to follow the laws and the Constitution. And then you're held to a standard of public meetings, so open law meeting, which means that everything you do has to be in public, correct?
Exactly. We're not having backroom meetings saying that we represent the majority of the town.
Okay.
We're right there in front of everybody.
Even during this last meeting, I explained 2 different executive sessions. In executive session, do you take a vote?
Absolutely not.
No, people don't know that. You have to come out and then and that's why whenever you come out, if people watch, you'll see that there's then you know who's where based upon their vote then.
Yes.
Okay. That's representation of the people, not simply just saying, hey, I talked to a bunch of people and now I'm going to say that I represent them. Okay. So being a representative of the people, I'm going to turn to Councilman Heiser. Talk to me about what happened regarding this. So she's given us the background on it. Now talk about this specific referendum. What was your experience in field and as a representation of the people?
So I would go back to actually a planning and zoning commission meeting that we had attended, and there was a hot topic issue, and I want to say it was in reference to the property behind Camp Tadier. And the room was I don't know, there's 12 or 15 people there that wanted to talk about that specific issue. And I was sitting in the meeting, and the next item on the agenda was this land use map. And after the Camp Tadier issue was off the agenda, all of those folks got up and walked out of the room. So here was their opportunity to see what was going on with this land use map and the corrections that were being made and to have public input into the planning and zoning process. And yet, after the hot topic issue of the day was off the table, everybody got up and walked out of the room. So that was a little bit into the process. I would probably say that point, that was probably fifth or sixth meeting that they'd had about this issue. But to that point, it was still on the agenda and none of them had any interest in it at that point. Moving forward, I was actually just finished up a town council meeting, and my wife had texted me that she had a conversation at work with somebody that lives in our neighborhood. And they were worried about this land use map that we had just passed. And she said, I think you should stop and talk to them. So I left the town council meeting that night, and I actually drove right over to his house, and I knocked on the door, and I had a conversation with him and his wife. And they were very concerned because they were told that in our neighborhood, we back right up to National Forest, and they were told that they were going to develop that property. And they didn't really get into the details of what was going to be developed, but they basically said, we understand this property is going to be developed in the near future. So I sat down and I talked with them about the land use map and what the land use map means and why we were actually making the corrections that we were. And after that, they were like, hey, I appreciate you stopping by. That clears the water up for us tremendously. And so we appreciate that time from you. Over the course of the next several weeks, there was many of our neighbors that experienced something similar. And essentially, they were being given incorrect information that was kind of, I don't want to say panicking them, but definitely getting them to the point where they were emotionally charged about the issue because they were being told things like they're going to put an apartment complex back there. They're going to build a huge subdivision back there. And for many of those people, when I got done telling them that there's no land exchange that's happening right now between the Forest Service, there's nobody that's actually interested in this property. And if that process started today, I would probably be a very old man by the time it was done. So that's kind of my experience with that, with this particular issue and the group that's kind of out there talking to folks in the community. And they're able to just go out and say kind of whatever they want to say to get people to sign that petition. And I feel like as actual representatives of the people, to your point, what we say is very open and very public record. And I can back everything that I've set up with documents or state statute or staff opinions or written documentation, et cetera.
So if you are a person who has information available to you and you know it's one thing and you say it's something else, what would you call that?
I mean, for me personally, I'd call it a lie.
Okay. I want to, that's a strong word. You used it in the meeting, and I want people to not shy away from that, to understand that there has been some misrepresentation of facts that are known and not unknown. They don't do it. If somebody says something and it's not known, that's one thing. But when you know it's one thing and you say something else, to get people to sign something, how do you feel about that?
Personally, I feel like, well, it's no different to me than anything else. It's a lie. I mean, if you lie to me, that's a whole different realm of now I'm not able to trust you. I don't know when you're going to say something to me that's the truth and when it's going to be a lie. And so that kind of relationship kind of extends, because it's not a good way to be a human being.
Okay. On town council, you're held to the standard of public record. So you can't hide something you've said. It's there. People can go look at it, and you stand behind it, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And and there's another thing that to me was a little disheartening about all of this, is that this small group of people who were upset with certain designations on the new land use map offered up no suggestions for change that they felt would be beneficial to the town. They just basically threw the baby out with the bathwater. So I think that was another thing that was very disheartening.
Okay. I don't want to go any further. I mean, this is the recap of really what happened there. That's what we want to do. I want to let the listeners know that we're going to be talking about, there was a rationale for Pinetop-Lakeside Major Plan Amendment referendum letter that went out. That was referenced during the meeting. It has no signatures on it. There's no people that stand behind that. So you're here as a town council member and as a mayor, both stating what you've done and what you believe. That's for the record, and that's for people out there. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about a referendum. We're going to be talking about the land use map in the future. So make sure you're listening to the talk of the town. Councilman Heisler, anything else you want to say for today?
I think that what you just said was very important, and I do stand behind what I say, and I'm willing to go out and meet with community members. They can contact me. My information's public, and I'm willing to absolutely stand behind everything that I've said, as far as it being true, accurate, and correct to the best of my knowledge.
Awesome. Mayor?
I think Tabor said it very well. I echo his comments that we definitely stand behind our decisions, and we do have a very engaged council who spends a lot of time researching. It's just not a spur-of-the-moment decision. Awesome.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it. That's it for this Talk of the Town. Make sure, like I said, you're subscribing, you're following, and if you have any comments, you can shoot back. We've got plenty of ways to contact us down below, or even stop in to Town Hall.